Thank you for watching this Last Mile Profits video. Are InPost going to abandon Pudos altogether? And as a bonus, how good is Gary's Polish? Keep watching to find out more.
Last Mile Profits is brought to you by Parcel Pending by Quadient.
Gary, InPost zamyka Pudo. What does that say to you?
I feel very bad that my son-in-law, who's Polish, has been forced to watch one or two of these programs, would probably know what you're on about, but I've got no clue.
All right, okay. That was very unfair. I just thought it would be quite amusing. InPost is closing Pudos.
Yeah, in the UK, I saw the announcement too, and it did pique my interest because originally they seem to have like a balanced approach. You know, they've done it in France, in the UK, lockers for people who love lockers, Pudo for people that love Pudo. That seemed to be the direction they were going in, but then I did dig a little bit deeper into that announcement.
So what did you discover, Gary?
Well, I discovered it, although it seemed like a big scoop at the time, it wasn't quite the big deal that we imagined. There is still this relationship between InPost and CollectPlus, who have thousands of locations. They're your go-to Pudo player in the UK, without doubt. PayPoint operate the counter service for Amazon as well, so they are pretty much dominant in the Pudo space. But they only had about 110 Pudo locations set up under the InPost brand. And that's what they've decided to close down. So it was not a huge move as we kind of was allowed to believe.
Maybe, Gary, for the viewers who are not so familiar with the UK market, basically you've got two networks, if I'm not mistaken. One is CollectPlus, which is, I think, around about 11,500, maybe a little bit more now. And not much smaller, you've got the post office, which, not to be confused, is not Royal Mail. It's a separate business. Although historically they worked exclusively for Royal Mail, and now they've opened up. So you've got basically a choice of those two networks. Each have their advantages and disadvantages. But yes, my personal view is it makes a lot of sense because, Gary, you've been there. Setting up small individual mum and papa stores in a Pudo network. Can you sort of coin a phrase for what that means?
It's feet on the street. I mean, it is hard work. The PayPoint have their payment terminals. That's their core business, if you like. They've been going for sort of 20 odd years. They've actually been closer to 30,000 convenience store type locations, chains, mum and pop shops, as you describe. The churn of those is huge, particularly in the independents. It's not necessarily stores closing down. They pass from father to son, from uncle to niece, to brother to brother, and get sold as people retire. So just managing that estate is a huge task, and maintaining the discipline of scanning compliance over the network is a huge task as well.
Yeah, compliance, quality, churn, absolute nightmare. You know, I remember talking to some people who are managing networks, and they basically said to me, if you had a choice of 1,000 points with a big chain that has good process and control, or 100 individual points, there's no question the effort to manage the 100 points is actually going to be significantly more than the 1,000 points that are part of a larger network.
See, I disagree.
Oh, go on then.
The 1,000 points are harder because you don't have any direct control. Your relationship is with head office. Head office has a relationship with the area manager. The area manager may or may not care about scanning compliance. If you've got 100 points, you've got a relationship with the owner of the store, and you can call up and say, if you don't scan everything, I'm going to cut you out. So you actually, although the effort is higher, you've got more control. But going back to the original point, I think InPost have got enough fish to fry without trying to run this mythical 100 points that we're talking about.
I think we're in agreement there. Maybe we'll come back another day on the other point. I just so that you don't get away with a complete walkover, as they say in Poland for football matches. The reality is, if you have a network that is well managed, good systems, processes, and control, because you're right, without that it won't work. Then I would argue my case. But anyway, look, we talked about the UK, but InPost actually has experience and networks elsewhere. We talked a while ago about, what's happening in France and are they going to eliminate the Pudos? I think it's fair to say that for the foreseeable future, Gary, Pudos are here to stay, either directly controlled by the carrier, as is the case with InPost in France with Mondial Relay, or via a reputable third party, as is the case in the UK with CollectPlus. But maybe, Gary, looking ahead with your crystal ball, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, are Pudo still going to be around?
Yeah, we have talked about this on and off. But my view is if you take the very long view, then I think you'll see a much diminished number of Pudos. I don't think you'll ever get to zero because the mum and pop convenience store is still a useful service, but the chains are pulling out. We've seen Tesco no longer do parcels over the counter. That's one of the biggest retailers in the UK. We talked about Scandinavia, the Nordics before, where Finland there is only one chain of stores still doing Pudo over the counter, and they want out. Co-ops are pushing parcels off the counter. So the writing is on the wall that this is not going to be a long-served popular thing to do. When you compare the UK to France, one thing to bear in mind is out of home in the UK is about 10% of the market. In France, it's more like 35. Actually, I think it's 38% of all parcels are handled out of home. To have 38% of the mammoth French parcel volume all going through lockers, there aren't enough lockers there yet. So you're right. As parcel locker networks build up, we'll probably see the erosion of Pudos. Whether Mondi or Relay will ever get to the point of having zero, or InPost having zero on all lockers, I don't know. But I think that's the direction we're travelling in.
Well, I think, Gary, that I partly agree. But what I think will also happen is we're going to get more automated, more efficient Pudos. Watch this space because I can see this coming. If we can find a Pudo model whereby you take away most of the onerous responsibility from the Pudo staff who are not really trained to do it, they don't want to do it, I think that may be the future. Let's see. Maybe, Gary, if our viewers can share their feelings, their experience of great Pudos or Pudos that really ought not to be there or other alternative visions, be great to see your comments. We don't get that many of them, so it'd be really good to have something. We particularly on LinkedIn, we always try to reply. It's a little bit more difficult on YouTube, but on LinkedIn, we're always there to reply. And above all, if you've enjoyed this video, please click like and subscribe. It helps keep the videos free for you. Gary, any last words?
No, not a huge number, but I think if we are both still around in 5 or 10 years' time, that I would win the mythical beer bet of whether that many Pudos are left or not.
Well, the mythical beer awaits you, Gary, then in 5 to 10 years' time. Many thanks. Great talking as usual.